The Conservative Party, or as their full name should be, the Conservative and Unionist Party, as their full moniker goes, or just by the short one, the Tory Party. So, they often love to make this claim that they are the party of Britain, and that they are here and they are going to serve the interests of not just a small, tiny minority of people, but they are going to be the One Nation Party, the party that serves all of the UK, not just, the City of London. However, we have had the complete experience of what is now being dubbed Black October. And this has once again smashed the idea that the Conservatives care about everyone in this country. Because they 100% absolutely do not care a damn about people in the north. They don't care a damn about people in the Midlands, and they sure as hell do not give a damn about even their own constituents. But anyway, we'll get into this now. So this comes from politics.co.uk. And the title of the article is How Black October Revealed the Lie of One Nation Boris. Everyone knows Republicans love this country. They just hate half the people in it. So said the US comedian Jon Stewart in the dying days of the George W. Bush presidency. After nearly a decade of the GOP getting dewy-eyed at the flag and lashing out at everyone who didn't fit the strict standards of Leviticus. And there have been long parallels with leading Brexiteers, of course, taking up the British while castigating those deemed not British enough, be they immigrants, metropolitan liberals, or just any passing Remainer criticising their project. But nearly a year after Boris Johnson fought an election on bringing Britain together, the Tories' wretched October has exposed a reality. A month that saw a party trying to fend off Marcus Rushford's free school meals campaign and fighting megaphone wars with Greater Manchester. It did not simply leave the Conservatives staggering around like a drunkard bellowing for a fight. It revealed their one nation rhetoric for what it was, an increasingly empty sales pitch. The One Nation is a mantle claimed at various times, implacably or explicitly, by more or less every post-war Tory leader except Margaret Thatcher, who defined herself against it, and it was formulated, though not coined, by Benjamin Disraeli, as a basis for improving the lot of the Victorian poor while safeguarding the upper class. The perceived harshness of the Thatcher era led to her successors to revive the One Nation as an attempt to detoxify the Tory brand. The honesty of these assertions was generally limited. Ian Duncan Smith talked up his road to Damascus moment in a Glasgow housing estate while his policies sent the poor to the food bank. The Prime Minister who oversaw these harsh benefit cuts was David Cameron, who used the One Nation-esque big society as an ideological fig leaf for savage austerity. But Brexit pushed higher-earning social liberals away from the party while drawing old industrial working-class communities towards it. In his book, Little Platoons, published in September of last year, the Conservative thinker and writer David Skelton argued for the party to commit wholeheartedly to reviving the One Nation tradition as a route to these votes, saying the Conservatives should look to position themselves as a compassionate alternative to the Unitopian extremes, Snelk wrote. Unlike these extremes, the One Nation is particularly well placed to tackle the problems faced today. By delivering Brexit and adopting the One Nation policies built around redistribution and investing in declining towns, Skelton argued, an increasingly fractured and frictious Britain could be bound back together. The book provided influential in Tory circles, providing substance to Theresa May's unfulfilled agenda. Johnson himself said on the night of his general election victory that his One Nation Conservative government has been given a powerful new mandate. The utopian extremes Skelton referred to are the neoliberalism and socialism. And it is an initial response, and in its initial response to the pandemic, the government showed a readiness to shed the neoliberal dogma of the Cameron years, adopting an extensive state furlough scheme and even revising some, though not near enough, of all the benefit cuts of over the last decade. But as the COVID crisis has worn on, the Tories' old ways have returned. They never fully went away, of course. The welfare state has remained leading a fresh surge in food bank use. Billions of pounds have been handed over to private contractors like Serico, and yet the Rushford row really opened up its seam. The Tory MPs reverted to type and engaged urgently in the benefits bashing seen regularly back in the 2010s. Private school educated Ben Bradley, who in his younger years wrote that unemployed wasters should have vasectomies, said that the extension of free school meal vouchers over the summer holidays has effectively handed money over to crack dens and brothels. Holy moly. How the hell is this guy an MP after saying that unemployed wastrels should have vasectomies? What? How is this guy an MP? There you go. And of course, newly elected Red Wall MP Brendan Clark-Smith said that the real problem was absentee parents who refused to take responsibility. I hope he loses his seat by an absolute landslide. I really do, because he is just an absolute waste of time. The best use for him would be to throw him in a meat grinder and then, feed him to the poor, because at the moment, that's all he is really good for. So, like many Conservatives, they instinctively assumed the worst about those who needed state support. And it's not just Bradley's claims that were inexcusable, given that vouchers can only be spent on food, even if they were true, and there was indeed a smattering of cases such as vouchers being misused. His assumption was that everyone needing support should be collectively punished for it. This is hardly surprising. The Tories tried to win the Brexit war by becoming the party of social authoritarians, which influenced the type of candidates the party attracted. But authoritarian views on immigration and national sovereignty often go hand in hand with authoritarian views on benefits. That fecklessness should be encouraged, and parents should be expected to stand on their own 2 feet, regardless of context and circumstance. Indeed, the root of literally centuries of benefits bashing has been on the assumption that benefits claimants are inherently immoral, and that these benefits incentivize their immorality. Idleness, entitlement, and dependency, fraud and substance misuse are casually seen as the core characters of these claimants. Also, the Skelton's agenda was the devolution of power away from Westminster, so as to re-empower forgotten communities. Johnson has been happy to talk up devolution, but when Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Berman demanded more financial support, the usual unnamed government sources launched a briefing war against him, while the Treasury came up short. Given the historic tendency of the Treasury to revert to type and steer towards tight spending on deficit reduction, the only way the One Nation policies could survive would be if leading Tories actually believed in it. But they don't. To them, it is no more than a rhetorical strategy to build an election coalition. Faced with a twitchy Treasury, the government has started to tighten the purse strings, and its MPs have doubled down on demonised the working class. That in the end, this is what nativists do. Immigrants are the enemy without, but benefit claimants are the enemy within. It was little surprise that one of the few Tory MPs to rebel over free school meals was Rebecca Halfton. who, while hardly a beating heart in the Heidi Alden mold, is a genuine believer in one nation policies. But there is a difference between a belief system and a strategy. The Tories wore one nation as an electoral fancy dress, and it is proving to be a bad fit. And like I say, come next year, I've said this before on this channel. We can expect austerity on steroids. We can expect all these, the benefits claim. Like, benefit claimants got an extra £1,000 during the coronavirus crisis. They're having that taken away from them. That is unbelievable. That is just insane. Benefit claimants need help, but the government is just not willing to help them. And one of the ways you help these people is by giving them financial support. When someone loses their job and they go on to something like universal credit, they lose about 80% of their income. Imagine for a second if we had a policy like in Sweden, this often touted miracle place that a lot of these conservatives have suddenly started to idolise for some unknown reason. Imagine if we had what they had, a state guaranteed unemployment insurance, where for the first year, as soon as you get unemployment, not only do you receive benefits, but you also receive 80% of what you would have had as a wage for the first year of unemployment. That would change things dramatically for so many people, and yet this policy, the Tories would go nowhere near, despite how many of them have recently been praising Sweden as the example that we should follow during the coronavirus. It just doesn't make sense, because Sweden is so much a country that has built a fantastic social safety net for many of its citizens. And the Tories just don't want to do it. But that's what we said they would do. And as I said, be prepared for next year for austerity on steroids. So with that, please do hit that like and share button. It does help out the channel and help spread the message. And of course, if you would like to support the channel in a different way, there are links down below to my Patreon page and one-off donation link should you like to support the channel in that way. And thank you to the people that do support me that way. Your support is very much appreciated. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.